So, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here after a very long day. Probably you are really tired and everyone is so busy these days. So I really appreciate that you take some time to share your thoughts and your time with us. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to use what I call my 3 minutes vanity slides, okay? Because I feel it's important. If I start yelling at you and saying, no, you're doing everything wrong, who's this guy? And why is he entitled to tell me you're doing it wrong, you're doing it right? Okay, so I'm going to tell you just a couple of details about myself. My name is Angel, which is rather unpronounceable for most of you, okay? So Angel, it's nice. Angel, I don't like it very much, okay? Angel is strange, okay? It sounds like female's name everywhere on earth, except from Spain, which is where I'm from, okay? You know, we Spaniards have a long-lasting relationship of brotherhood and collaboration with you British people, okay? As you know, this is a historic thing, so I'm so happy to be here at the United Kingdom. So anyway, interesting information that you can take out of this slide. In this website, projectalis.com/ in English /Angel Medinilla, you have plenty of information, okay? It's we don't ask for emails, we don't spam anyone. But you have all our materials, for instance, all the Scrum course, the Kanban course, the Agile Contracts course, the Coaching Agile Teams course, the Agile Product Management course, the Agile Kaizen course, all the slides and all the materials we've ever used in some course or public event, conference, whatever, you have them there, free to download, okay? You also have access to plenty of videos, very low quality videos, like the one I'm recording right now, okay? This is like homemade, but still, you have the opportunity to see several videos of other talks about Agile Product Management, Scrum Mastership, or whatever is your topic of interest around Lean and Agile. You also have access to my email, my LinkedIn, whatever, okay? This is, be sure to visit that website and feel free to use anything that feels interesting and useful for you. I also have a Twitter handle, okay? That's angels _M. This is very important for my ego. My ego is a terrible beast that needs to be fed every single day, okay? So feed my hungry ego by following me on Twitter and being, you know, updated on anything I'm doing, any conference I'm attending, any country I'm visiting. So, who am I? Well, I'm a coach, I'm a consultant. Okay, consultant is something that we don't use anymore. Okay, it's a word that has a bad connotation. Okay, you say consultant and people look for their wallets. Okay, no, how much is that gonna cost me? Okay, you're a consultant. But coach is fine. Okay, coach is like nice, hugging. So yeah, coach, consultant, your favorite flavor. Basically, what I do is I work with companies. I try to be all around the world, mostly in Europe. And I work training people on Agile methods and then also helping companies transform their organizations, their teams, their processes, their products to a faster, leaner, more effective, more efficient, more agile way of working. This is the kind of things I do. Through this work, I've been at mobile companies, telecommunication industry, banking, government consulting, software factories, .coms, retail, logistics, you name it, video games. So I have to say that I'm so lucky to have a lot of vision on what's working everywhere. So this is a sure thing you have to do because everyone is doing it. What's not working anywhere? So it's like, okay, I haven't seen this working anywhere, and no matter what the book says. So there's two explanations. One, this doesn't work, or two, we are all so stupid and can't get it. Everyone on earth. And no matter what's the case, probably something is not working anywhere. You should be like suspicious about that. And then I see things that work some places and then they do not work on some other places. So what's the difference? And this experience is what I try to use when I come to talk to you about topics like maturity, team maturity, and coaching and all that. I'm also a regular speaker at many Agile conferences. I was in Pamplona last week in Spain, but the week before that I was in Poland, and the week before that I was in Colombia in the South American Agile meeting. And next week, I don't know where I'm going to be. I guess it's Croatia. I'm going to Croatia next week, and then Barcelona, which is closer. So yeah, I'm pretty regular on the conferences. I wrote a couple of books. One is Agile Management, because I feel that no matter how many efforts we do at a team level, there's a lot of companies that still think that Agile, Lean are things that you do like a black box, okay? So it's like some asteroids you put into your teams, And then you can push a lot of more requirements, and they will produce a lot more software. And that's all that's needed. And that's very misleading concept around Agile and Lean. This is not something you can do at a team level. A team can start doing Scrum, Kanban, whatever, but sooner or later they will crash into the status quo of your companies. And there you need the support of the managers. Especially, according to my experience, middle management is a very, very powerful resonation point for the culture. Because top management, they are like, out of this planet. They are dealing with banks and investors and presidents and shareholders. They are not in the daily basis on how we manage the business. Okay, they are setting goals and things like that. Middle management is very, very important, and that's the reason I wrote my first book on Agile Management. Also, very influenced by the Management 3.0 community. I'm also a Management 3.0 trainer. And then I wrote a second book, Agile Kaizen, Continuous Improvement in Agile Companies. Because I feel when I go to Agile teams, I see this thing we call the retrospective. Okay, every 2 weeks we meet together and we try to think, what have we been done good, and we have to, support and engage and enforce this kind of behavior. And what kind of impediments and problems we're having? Oh, we should improve on that. When I see retrospectives, there are many, many things that are not really working well at retrospectives. The most typical is what I call the Groundhog Day Retrospective. Do you remember this movie, Groundhog Day, by Bill Murray? Okay, every single day you live the same thing over and over and over. Well, Groundhog Day Retrospective is when we have the same retrospective over and over and over, and the same problems, and the same stuff, and the same whining, and the same complaining. So what's the solution? We stop doing retrospectives. That's a very good solution, because if we kill the dog, there's no more rabies, as we say in Spain, okay? So of course, that's not a solution. Out of sight, out of mind. No, retrospective and continuous improvement is something that, people implement framework. Okay, we're doing Scrum, we have posters on the wall, and daily meetings, and I say, okay, so what have you changed over that Scrum over the last year? Oh no, we changed nothing. We are doing Scrum by the book. Well, you're doing it wrong, because this is supposed to be a framework for changing things for the better, continuously over time. Okay, so that's the reason I wrote my second book on that. I'm part of the Management 3.0 community. Stop. That's the end of my vanity slides. Now you have some kind of idea on who's this crazy Spaniard coming to talk about team maturity and adjusting your coaching level and your coaching frequency to the team maturity. So let's do some stretching before. Can I see you all here in the room raising your right arm? So first I can say, okay. Okay, this is very good. Thank you so much. This is very good because you can tell right from left, which is like very, very. If you cannot do that, then Agile and Lean is like too complicated. Second, you are very healthy and you can, raise your hand. That's very good. And third, according to my experience, once you've raised your hand once, it's easier for a second time to say, no, I don't agree with that, or I don't understand, or can you please elaborate on that? So the second time you have to raise your hands is going to be easier, because you have already raised your hand and say, oh look, nothing happens. I cannot touch the ceiling, nobody's laughing at me. Okay, so nice. So let's try, let's see if it works. How many of you are Scrum Masters / Agile coaches? We have 1 there, 2, 3, 4. Okay, Agile trainers, consultants. How many of you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, thank you so much. How many of you have the title manager in your business card? And I have to clarify. Manager as in I'm managing something, not as in project manager. Okay, I've been a project manager all my life. You have no real power. Okay, sorry, bad news. Okay, in a previous life I was a project manager. That's not proper management. You manage nothing. You try to manage chaos. No? But business unit manager, team manager, department manager. Can you raise your hands? Okay, I see some managers here. This is interesting. Especially because this is a Management 3.0 meetup. Okay, so no managers, this is failure. How many of you, nevertheless, are project managers? / product owners? Thank you. Some product management people, which is something different, product management. It's not exactly as a product owner. How many of you consider yourself to still be software developers or, working at a team level making things with your hands? I can barely remember how that felt. Kinda. You
can never stop, really. You always got to do a little bit, right?
You are doing it right, because I stopped doing software development somewhere over 2007 or something like that, not so far away. But now it's like, gosh, how can I do that again?
You tell me your architects don't code, get some more architects.
Oh yeah. Architect that does not code, that's a smell.
Yeah.
That's a smell. You know, architects, I usually keep being, well, I will talk about architects later on. Don't get me started.
Sorry.
I have a full monologue on architects, okay? So anyway, who hasn't raised his or her hand? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people I didn't identify yet. So what do we have here? Oh, yeah. I'm so glad I didn't do the architect's monologue.
That's a brave man.
I will do it. So what else? Who else? What do we have there?
Business analyst.
Business analyst, thank you so much.
Consultant.
Consultant, okay, so what else? Coach.
Freelance facilitator, voiceover writer.
That's very good. I think you're going to like these materials. And what else? Business analyst, okay, thank you so much. Well, we have a very nice mixture. I usually find that the best courses and the best meetups and the best events is when you mix people up. If you have all managers or all software developers, the results are really, really biased. Okay, they only get the part of the message that they like. Okay, so it's better when we have several people getting all the visions and all the flavors of the message. So that's cool. So we're here to talk about team maturity and how to coach teams in better ways towards what. Okay, so we are coaching a team. We're coaching them in Agile. If your goal is to be Agile or to do Agile, you're probably doing it wrong. I mean, Agile is a mean of, getting your targets, your vision, your goal. You have to decide what's your problem, what's your impediment, and then you have to see if Lean or Agile is something that is helping you achieve that vision, okay? But the vision, nobody creates a company saying, we are going to create a company about being Agile. No, that's not your vision. Your vision is something else, okay? But anyway, we probably all agree that Lean and Agile are very, very powerful frameworks towards better productivity and towards better performance, more engaged people, motivations, creativity. There's a lot of good things coming out of doing Agile and Lean. And one of the key ingredients of both Lean and Agile, one of the clear things that is common between Agile and Lean is self-organizing teams. Okay? Self-organization is something we have been pushing to companies for the last 50 years probably of writing and consulting. If you read, lots of managerial stuff, Lean literature, Agile literature, team stuff, they always talk about autonomy, about how people feel more motivated when they have some freedom on how to organize their work. They also talk about distributing the intelligence, okay, the roundabout. I love to talk about roundabouts when I go to the United States because they don't know how to... Have you seen the Simpsons episode when they come to London and they get trapped in a roundabout and they don't know how to get out of it? So yeah, that says something about the United States. Because roundabouts are a very good example, are our preferred example in the Agile community about how distributed intelligence can be very, very powerful. Usually, I don't know what is it like here in the United Kingdom, but in Spain, when a policeman shows up and says, I'm gonna manage traffic, then, bad things happen. You start getting queues out of control and everyone starts honking because you have one person trying to take decisions for 200 or 500 or 1,000 drivers at the same time. And that's not going to scale, that's not going to work. You can do that with 3 or 4 cars, okay? You can more or less organize them. But when the traffic gets heavier, then having just one person take the decisions is not very intelligent. It's not fast enough. You have to ask everyone to stop and then start managing cars one at a time. That's not a very good way of scaling. So we created the roundabout. The roundabout is a system that has only four rules. Okay. Rule number 1: do not crash. That's a very good rule for life. Okay. Do not crash into other drivers. That's a good rule. Rule number 2: take the roundabout in the right sense. Okay, we could discuss this like long enough. We believe that we drive in the right side of the road and you believe the contrary, but no matter where you are, if here you are taking roundabouts in clockwise sense, okay, perfect. If you're doing counterclockwise, okay, perfect, but there's one sense, that's one direction for everyone, and we all use the same direction. That's a very good rule. Rule number 3, people that are inside the roundabout has preference over the people that are outside the roundabout. Okay, so we outside the roundabout have to wait for the people inside the roundabout for a slot, an available slot to enter the roundabout. And then rule number 4 is you only exit the roundabout from the outer lane. We have problems with that in Spain. I don't know here, but in Spain we believe that the whole roundabout is to do like rally driving, okay? And you take all the lanes from one place and then all the lanes again. But still, it's only 4 rules. We can all understand. We agree on those rules, and then we trust that each driver is going to take safe decisions, okay? Because it's safe for everyone, it's safe for him or for her. So this is distributed intelligence, and it has been proven that in conditions of high traffic, roundabout distributed intelligence works better than traffic lights or, policemen telling everyone what to do. We could mention a lot of complex theory that talks about the good things about self-organization and teams, why having self-organizing teams is better than having people on their own. There are several reasons, but we are not going to spend time on mathematicals and complexity science and all that. Let's just say that since maybe Nonaka Takeuchi wrote the article, the new product development game, which is the seminal article in the Harvard Business Review for Scrum, okay? They talked about how some companies were doing this kind of relay race where everyone is responsible for doing something and then will pass that to someone else. And then I will say, it's not my job anymore, okay? Not my job is like a big red warning in any Agile or Lean company, especially in every modern software, technology, knowledge-driven company. People saying, that's not my job, that's not my part, I already did my thing. That's a big warning. You are not getting the most out of your company and your people if you are behaving like that. So instead of that, we said we have to create teams that are more similar to the rugby teams when they play the scrum, okay, when they are playing together, trying to push the ball into game, and you rely on your colleagues to get the game won. Okay, we always talk about teams. Teams are so powerful. Teams this and teams that. According to my experience, many of my customers, when I start working with a company, they say, "Oh, we have a team here," and I don't see a team. I see a group of people. Especially, I don't see teams in the sense of agile teams or lean teams. Think about, for instance, think about a chess team or a bowling team. Okay, imagine we are all a bowling team. How will we play? I will play my part. I will play my game. And if you all fail, but I have a perfect game, I will say, it's not my fault that we failed as a team. I did my part. It's them who are performing poorly. So you fire these people and you get better workers. And then you evaluate people on their own individual performance. Performance reviews are a huge red warning on Agile and Lean companies. Okay, we could do another meetup about that. But anyway, what we do is we create people together that are responsible together of winning or losing, like in football. Proper football, European football, not the American version with the armors and all that stuff, okay? In football, you have a team. You cannot say, I did defense, and I did defense well. It's not my fault. No, we play as a team, and we fail as a team. And we have several examples where you have tried to, get every good player in the world and create a dream team, and it didn't work. Because they were not playing as a team together. There were no actual team. You have individuals playing on their own. So anyway, it's been prescribed by Scrum, specifically by Jeff Sutherland, that self-organizing Agile teams will drive them to hyper-productive states. Okay, we believe that self-organizing teams playing the Agile Lean game is like the most productive thing you can do. We could also discuss about productivity in software industry and knowledge industry. I came to believe that right now, in mature Agile companies, productivity-related talk is a huge red warning. Okay, productivity is not the answer. Why? Well, I have my own theory, but if you look at the numbers, if you look at the Standish report, they say that the software industry is producing some 30, 40, 50% of features that nobody wants. Nobody used them ever. Okay, and usually I always ask my audience, okay, not here, because you are all very talented Management 3.0 trainers and you're creating amazing products. Not here. But when we look out the window and we see the software industry around us, would you agree that 40% of the features that are produced by the software industry are, useless and nobody wants them? You will not quite agree. I would like to discuss this. Or you will say, no, that's a wrong figure. Can you please, again, raise your hand so I can see your opinion on that? You will say 40%, yes, it's useless. I could discuss that, or no, I don't agree. So most of you agree. Some people will argue. I see two people. 2 or 3 people will say, no, we don't agree. It's because you believe the number is higher. It's like 80% of the features are useless.
Yeah. So that between 60 and 80.
Okay, so that's her point. It's like, no, 40, no, it's 60 or 80. No, now you agree. Okay. So anyway, this is like small talk. We don't have the numbers and we don't have the figures, and every generalization is very unfair. Okay, so you will have to look at cases and the specific cases. But I usually say, if you're feeling that 40% of your effort in developing features is useless, the answer is not, I need more features. The answer is not, I need to drive my productivity higher, so I can do twice the crap, twice as fast. No, productivity talk, usually a red warning in mature agile teams. This is something that you will reach somewhere in the future, and this is what I want to talk about. So anyway, you start reading about self-organization and agility and lean, and you start reading about these companies where self-organization is a huge thing. Like for instance on Semco, where people decide their own salaries. What? You have to read a book that is called Maverick, okay, by Ricardo Semler. This is a Brazilian company where people set their own salaries, and they have all kind of crazy policies.
But he bought Burger King. I mean, come on. He went and bought Burger King as well. How can you trust a man like that?
That's interesting.
Yeah, he bought Burger King.
So he bought?
Yeah, he bought, diversified, bought Burger King.
Who?
He improved their chips as well at Burger King.
I didn't know that. I'm going to research that. Interesting.
Huh?
But not the burgers.
I don't think he touched the burgers. He improved the chips.
There's a small improvement to be done down there. It's like, So anyway, you also have companies like Netflix where they have this open holiday. They say, in Netflix, our vacation policy is we don't have a vacation policy. Okay, we don't track vacation days. We don't track how many days you leave home or you are on holiday. We don't track that. We trust that everyone will take, intelligent decisions based on how many Saturdays you're coming to work, how many Sundays you're coming to work, how many days are you staying here at 12. We don't track that. So why should we track holiday days? Either you trust your employees or you don't. Okay, and suppose, or Netflix, they decide they trust their employees. They say there's no holiday policy, there's no vacation policy, but they also say there's no dressing policy either, and nobody came nude in the last 5 or 6 years. Okay, so we believe that people will take smart decisions if we hire smart people. Okay, but if you have people that take stupid decisions, maybe it's because you don't set the right context, or maybe you are hiring stupid people. Why? Oh, because they know Java. Oh, well, look further. Something that I find in many companies today is that people are hiring for skills, people are hiring for knowledge, and very few people are hiring for attitude and for culture match. Okay, so if you want to create a culture of self-organizing people, maybe you have to start hiring for highly responsible people. Okay, you have to learn how to do that. You also have companies like Valve where there are no managers, and everyone that has ever had a bad manager in his life. If you have been around for enough time, you've had a bad manager somewhere on your career. And if you haven't, please tell me how you did that, okay? Because I want to learn. And you go, wow, no managers. How would that be? It's like, oh, dreamland, you know? And then you have companies like, I don't know, Zappos or Google or Spotify, where you have like research and development days and hackathons and so many great stuff. And we decide, okay, we want to be like them. We want to release the Kraken, okay? This is like huge power that will come out of Agile Management 3.0 and about self-organizing and lean, so it's like a huge beast that is sleeping in your company waiting to be awakened, okay? So let's say, release the Kraken! And people go on a Monday morning, 8 a.m. and they say, you self-organize and go Agile. And then they release the Kraken, turns something like, okay, something like this. If you know Futurama, you know this character, which is Dr. Sawyer. And yeah, the Kraken many times disappoints us. We tell people to self-organize, and we go to a Management 3.0 training, and we talk about delegation poker, and we talk about building trust and setting goals, and not managing the people, but managing the system around the people, and trusting them to have the work done. And then bad things happen. Gosh, are we wrong maybe? Like for instance, you have this sentence by Esther Derby. She says, self-organizing team may be the most overused, misunderstood, vague and misleading phrase of the decade. I truly believe, I mean, probably this is talking about the Agile ecosystem. I don't want to believe that people doing, I don't know, energy are also talking about self-organization.
Could I challenge that and add minimum viable product?
Oh yeah, that's another talk, yeah. I've stopped talking about minimum viable product. I talk about minimum viable experiment. That fixes the problem. Most of the time, okay? This is a small, fast answer, but if you talk about minimum viable experiment, then people understand better that you don't actually need a product and you don't actually need to ship it to the market and all that. So it's like, let's do an experiment with the form of a product, maybe. So yeah, it's one of the most misunderstood and vague and misleading terms. And I found that, for instance, many people think self-organization equals no managers. Self-organizing means people will take decisions on their own, so what's the need for managers? There's a whole thinking school of people around Lean and Agile that are saying, no, the end of this all is to get rid of managers, okay? Of course, people who write books called Agile Management and people who do trainings that are called Management 3.0, we don't like the message no managers because that's like the end of our business. But besides that, there's also a lot of people that say self-organization equals anarchy, okay? Oh, I'm so proud I'm using this in the United Kingdom. It's so, it's like, fits in. Anarchy! Agile is about no rules, no goals, no targets, just the beauty of the code and you know, best practices on development. I've seen these people. How many of you have seen these kind of people say, no, Agile means there's no deadlines, there's no...
documentation.
No documentation, no, wow,
Release plans.
No, certainly none of that.
One of our favorite sports of our Agile people is pointing things out and saying, not Agile, okay? So documentation is not Agile.
We call those the Agile terrorists.
Yeah, for me that's terrorism, absolutely, okay? But even if I don't want to go that far to call that terrorism, I think that you got the self-organization message wrong. Some people think that self-organization means self-management. These are two different things. For instance, if tomorrow, Andrea and me, we create a startup, probably we are a self-managed, self-organizing teams. We take the decisions. We decide what are we investing the budget on. We decide who to hire, who to fire. We are self-organizing and we are self-managing. But that doesn't mean that every team in the world needs to be self-managing. Okay? We are confusing self-management with self-organization, self-organizing. This is different. For instance, a football team is not self-managed. A football team does not decide who gets hired, who gets fired. There's a coach. That coach is also a manager. Okay? That person is the one deciding, okay, I get rid of this person, you're playing this game, you're not playing that game, you're going to sit. Okay? So they don't get to decide that. So they are trained, and there are some rules, and there are some boundaries, but then the coach will say, okay, now it's your turn to play, and the team will need to self-organize in order to play the game. So self-organization is one thing, it's reacting to the daily things that happens in order to take, you know, small decisions that will improve your chances to win. But then management is something different. It's about spending the money and taking decisions on who's in and who's out, who's playing, who's not playing. So another, you know, one version of this self-organization equals no managers, anarchy, is what I call the flower power, hippie, kumbaya singing, tree hugging part of agility, okay? How many of you have met these people? I've met these people. Nobody have met, you know, tree hugging, yes, Monica saying, yeah, definitely. So yeah, be careful, because I'm really surprised. When we started the Agile in Europe, in Europe, we created a forum in LinkedIn, and we say, okay, let's get the ball running. Let's get some discussions about what's Agile for you. Okay, so let's get some discussions started around Agile in Europe. And the first thing that was posted on the blog in the group was, what's Agile for you? The first answer was, Agile is love. You can search that online. Okay, somebody put her name on that. And then another person says, Agile is happiness and fun and care people and fulfillment. And I'm like, I have been reading the wrong books or what? It's like, okay, I've seen that. I mean, I've seen environments where Agile have led to a change in the culture, where people are more caring, where people are more happy, where people are more loving. But that's not the basis and the foundation of what's Agile. That's a consequence of doing Agile and Lean. if you really, really give people an environment where they can self-organize and work as a team and work together and understand each other, it's a natural consequence that I will start understanding better my colleagues, and I will start caring more about my colleagues, and that leads to higher levels of social contact, status, belonging, the sense of belonging to something, identity, autonomy, and realization. And then people are happier, more motivated. But motivation equals agile, that's a very misleading way of saying it. Okay? So, some other examples of self-organization go wrong. I had these people saying, okay, we decide the priorities. This happened to me like 2 months ago. I was visiting a team and I was seeing the team working, and then I saw someone take one of the post-its out of the backlog and put it the first one. I say, excuse me, what are you doing? I say, oh, I think this is very important. So I put it the first on the backlog. And I'm like, are you the product owner? No, I'm not. And I'm like, well, then you are not entitled to decide priorities. You are a team member. And if you think this is important, you should discuss that with the person that is entitled to make changes to priorities, which is the product owner. Then, of course, they went mad. Oh, but we are self-organizing. If you tell us the order in which things needs to be done, then that's command and control. That's not agile. That's favorite sport. Not agile. Taylorism. Okay. So something is wrong here. We have not been reading the same books. Another example of self-organization gone wrong. I visited a multinational company, telecommunications, and I was asking about several teams we have been coaching, and you have some example here. What about this team, Team Rock and Roll? Oh, Team Rock and Roll is doing really, really great. They really, really take the idea. Oh, nice, nice. What about Team Amatista? Oh, Team Amatista, they are great. This is thing, oh, fantastic. And what about Team whatever, I don't remember the name. I say, oh, this team is not doing very good. They decided to drop Agile and Scrum and go back to Waterfall. And I'm like, what? Yeah, we trained the team, we coached the team, we put the boards, and we played with the board a couple of weeks, and they decided they hate it, and they get rid of the board, and they decided they want to do waterfall. And then I talk to the manager and say, well, what have you done according to this? And he says, oh, I have done nothing. They are self-organizing. So if I tell them to do Agile, if I tell them to do Scrum, if I tell them to do Kanban instead of Beam, then I'm breaking self-organization. So again, it's like, now I don't believe we have the same idea on self-organization. Then also I have this team, Mediterranean team, somewhere over the Mediterranean. I asked the company after I was working with them for some time, how are they doing? Oh, we are struggling with some bad times now with the team. What's the matter? Oh, they haven't delivered anything for the last 3 months. What? Yeah, they're not delivering software anymore. They decided they want to refactor the core of the application. Yeah, well, did you agree on that? No, of course we didn't agree on that. Well, what have you done? Oh, nothing. They are a self-organizing team. We cannot do anything. If we tell them to deliver something at the end of every iteration, we will break Scrum and Agile. And I'm like, it's basically the other way around. If you don't deliver, where's the agility? Okay, agility is delivery, change, and collaboration. Period. We discussed this today. Okay, I can demonstrate. So, yeah, this is what I call the cosmetic Scrum. Okay. Some people doing, you know, post-its in the board, and yeah, we do daily meetings, and yeah, we do retrospective. But when you see the behavior of the team, they still behave in a very classical, evil way. Like we still do waterfall, or we still do whatever. The problem with this is that if you are familiar with Scrum, Scrum is one of the most, you know, one of the easiest thing to fake in the universe. You can fake Scrum tomorrow. Your company says, oh, do Scrum. You say, ah, yeah, whatever, no problem, boss. I get that done on Monday. So you keep doing everything the same way. Even management people know it's very easy to fake. So, but Scrum is easier. Okay, so you keep doing everything the same way you've done it always. But every single time you have to do something, you put it on a post-it note and you put it in a column that says pending. And then when you're doing that thing, you move it to another column that says ongoing. Yeah, we're doing that. And then when it's done, you move it to another column that says, oh, it's done. And now, yeah, you're doing Scrum. And then someone will say, oh, no, but Scrum is far more than that. There's the ceremonies, the process, the roles, and say, oh, yeah, we have everything. You know, once a month, the boss comes around with a pile of work, and he drops it here, and says, this has to be done in a month. And that's product backlog, and that's product planning, and that's estimation meeting. Okay, so now we have a product backlog, a product owner, we have a deadline, oh, perfect. Okay, so I will take the Scrum checklist and say, product owner check, product backlog check, estimation check. And then every single day a project manager will come around and say, hey, how are you doing? Are you meeting the deadline? And then you say, yeah, that's a daily meeting. Okay, it's reporting. What have you done yesterday? What have you done today? Are we meeting on time? Are we meeting the deadline? Yeah, so yeah, okay. Check, we're doing Scrum. And then once a month, we deliver something, the client says, no, you idiots, you got it wrong, and yells at us. That's a demo, that's a sprint review. And then we go to a pub, and we order some gin or some ales, and we say, oh, dude, this sucks badly. That's retrospective, okay? So now you say, check, 100% certified Scrum practitioner. It's very easy to fake. And then someone a year later says, oh, you know, these Scrum things haven't really changed anything. And you're like, yeah, but because you didn't change anything. You basically put some cosmetics on, which is like post-its on the wall. Post-its on the wall, that's non-ban, non-Scrum nor Kanban, okay? So most of the people out there are practicing non-ban. So self-organization go wrong. No, we don't write more tests. I have a team that I started working with them, and I said, do you have tests? They say, yes. Is testing part of the definition of done? Oh yeah, of course. Every software needs to have unit tests. And I say, can I see your last deliveries and metrics? There were no metrics, so I put a metric system online in place. And I saw that in the last iteration they delivered some 4,000 lines of code with 2 unit tests. So yeah, unit tests, yes. Definition of done, yes. So we're doing it right. Okay. So again, this is cosmetic Scrum and cosmetic agility. It's like we tell you, unit testing is a good thing. We shouldn't need to explain that to software developers. Still, they self-organize to decide that 2 unit tests every 4,000 lines of code, that's a good metric. And then I tell the managers, what are you doing? Oh no, they are self-organizing. They are the ones deciding what's quality. So, self-organizing teams are like unicorns, okay? It's like so difficult to find. Real self-organizing agile teams are unicorns, okay? That's the reason I talk, this is the Krakens and unicorns talk. And it's very, very difficult to find. What's the reason? Why it's working here and it's not working there? That was my question. I've seen self-organizing agile teams. That's like a juggernaut. That's like the most amazing thing you'd ever see in a software development company. According to my experience, okay, proper self-organizing teams are so powerful. That's the reason we struggle to create the magic once and again, and we fail and we fail and we fail. And I started wondering what's the reason that some people said it only works because if you have very, very good people. Agile is for superstars. And they say, and of course, if you have superstars, it doesn't matter if you're doing Agile or Lean or whatever, because they are superstars. They will figure it out. And I refused to believe that. I wanted to believe Edward Deming from Lean. I wanted to believe Taichi Ono from Lean. They said, if you have good people, but you have a bad system, the bad system will beat good people 100% of the time. But on the other hand, we believe that ordinary average people put into a good system that is working to continuously improve will get the best out of the people and will get these hyper-productive, special unicorn teams given the time and given the process. I want to believe that. So I started researching what's the difference between teams that are making it, teams that are not making it. And the first thing I found, what went wrong, is that a lot of people were doing cargo cult. You know this term, cargo cult? No? Cargo cult, short explanation because many of you already know. It's in World War II, there were some islands in the Pacific where you have these people living in those islands that had never been in contact with civilization. And then suddenly Americans arrived with cargo planes. They needed places to do like small steps in order to go to Japan because the planes in those times, they couldn't fly that long. So they started creating bases around the Pacific Islands. And in order to have a good relationship with the people living there, they started bringing gifts to these people. And they were so happy. These cargo gods from the sky coming and bringing gifts to us. But then suddenly the war is over and the planes can fly really farther. So now we don't need the bases anymore, so we abandon the bases. And these people living in the islands are saying, oh my God, what did we do to get the cargo gods angry? And they saw the planes passing by, but they were never coming down again. So what they did is they rebuilt the bases using like palm trees and coconuts and things like that. And they were doing like signals to the planes because that's what they saw. They saw the planes coming down and they see some people doing signals and they said, okay, if you do this, then the planes go down. So I will do the same. So cargo cult is the term that Richard Feynman started using in physics to refer to people that were copying some other people's behaviors without actually knowing what's the underlying mechanism. So I see that this cosmetic Scrum, these people faking Scrum, faking Agile, faking Lean, focusing on the tools. Is there an electronic tool to do that? I want to kill everyone that asks me about electronic tools. They think that there's a button that they will push and say, make me Agile. Okay? It's not going to work. Okay, long story short.
But it does all come out of a book, doesn't it?
I'm sorry?
It does all just come out of a book. They just have to read the right book and that's it, right?
Yeah, also books are way more powerful than tools because they have ideas and ideas are powerful, okay? But anyway, it's not if A then B, okay? There's a lot of stuff involved, yeah, you're right. So anyway, cargo cult is when people copy these retrospectives and self-organization without really understanding how self-organization works. Again, this doesn't work. You come on a Monday morning, 8 a.m., and you tell your people to be agile and self-organized. Slam the door, no? And yeah, that's not the way it's supposed to happen. But above all, I think that one of the mistakes we are creating as a community is that we are telling people about the view from the top. I go to Spotify, I go to Zappos, I go to Netflix, and I go to Valve, and I say, see, there are no managers. That's the view from the top. We have been creating an Agile Lean company for the last 12 years, for the last 8 years, for the last 30 years, if we're talking about Semco, and then we tell people how that looks like. And then people try to copy that. They try to copy the top of the mountain. They don't understand there's a path to be followed in order to achieve, in order to arrive at the top of the mountain. At the top of the mountain, you may be able to get rid of managers. But that's the top of the mountain. You have to be sure to walk the path for 8 years or 10 years or 12 years. There are steps. And I realized that some people were arguing online, saying, no, Scrum Master, we rotate the Scrum Master amongst the team. Have you ever seen a team where people rotate the Scrum Master role? Anyone?
Seen it.
Yeah. Do they rotate the Chief Executive Officer role also in that company? Curious about that. No, they don't. Do they rotate the Product Owner role? No. Why? Because those are proper roles. No, Scrum Master is like, some fake thing we have in order to do Scrum and get certified. But, so Scrum Master is not real. So, yeah, you be the Scrum Master today. No, I be the Scrum Master tomorrow. I know, Product Owner, that's serious stuff. Okay? That's product, that's deadline, that's money. Okay? So, in the top of the mountain, we have people saying, hey, facilitation, coaching teams, Scrum Masters, helping the teams succeed and removing impediments and grow. So we copy that. And we don't understand how you reach that point. So we have people say, no, we rotate the Scrum Masters, and then you have another person say, no, no, what do you mean rotate Scrum Masters? We have 100% dedicated Scrum Master per teams. Each team has a coach, an Agile coach, Scrum Master. I don't care the flavor. Okay, some people don't do Scrum, but they have coaches or facilitators. And we have this trainer, facilitator, coach, Scrum Master, whatever you call it. And he's 100% dedicated with the team. That's not he's not coding. He's just helping the team work together. Have you seen that? 100% people dedicated. Yeah. So someone is wrong. Because then you go to the people that are rotating their Scrum Master role and say, 100% of your time with just one team? You're crazy. What's that guy doing the whole day? I cannot figure out. And yeah, I was seeing all these kind of discussions, and I realized that people were talking from different places in the mountain. Some people were discussing the view from the top. Some people were discussing Base Camp 1. It's like the first place, the first stage. They couldn't agree. They didn't realize that they weren't at the same point of space and time. Okay, there were different perspectives on the teams. There's also a second or third problem. Cargo cult, view from the top. Third problem is the underpanned gnomes problem. Do you know what's an underpanned gnome? Have you seen South Park, the series? There's an episode in South Park where the people in South Park meet these underpanned gnomes that are stealing underpants. And when they ask them, why are you stealing underpants? They say, for profit. They say, well, yeah, but how does that work? How do you steal underpants for profit? And I say, oh, it's easy. It's step number 1, we steal underpants. Then comes step number 2. And step number 3 is profit. I say, yeah, but what's step number 2? I say, I'm sorry, say what? Yeah, what's step number 2? And then the underpants gnomes stay silent and say, well, step number 1 is steal underpants. Say, yeah, but I'm asking about step 2. And say, yeah, well, step 3 is profit. Yeah, but what's step 2? And they cannot explain, okay? And there's a lot of this thinking around, this is a human thing. It's not only about Agile or Lean. We say, oh, you do this, you get that, but we don't figure out the process in the middle. So I feel we have an underdiagnosed problem in the software industry. We say, first you have a command and control software factory of, architects. Hello, architects. Telling people you have to code this in this way because I'm the architect and I'm the one to know how this should be done. Okay, that's my problem with some kind of architects, not all architects. Which is command and control environment, and then we have step 2, and step 3 we have self-organizing hyper-productive teams. There's something missing in the middle. But when you read the literature, it's written by these guys. And these guys are saying, oh, we have daily meetings, oh, we self-organize, oh, we do this and this and this and that, and we are hyper-productive. They very seldom talk about the process that led them to this kind of state. So we want the state, but we don't want the pay. Yesterday, I ran my first half marathon here in London. Yay! Please clap. Yay! Feed my hungry ego. So, anyone who has run that, I marvel at myself. There's a process. I have been running for a year before I've been able to run a half marathon and make it comfortably. And instead of being laying in a hospital today, I can come here and have energy and try to make you pass some nice time. There's a process here, and I can talk about this process. There's several articles saying how to run your first marathon. And, there's a lot of, but they don't tell you how to start running. How to start running. Starting running is one of the hardest things you can do. Of course, human beings, we say we don't want to start running. We just want to run. I like the self-realization, fulfilling thing of running marathons, but I don't like the process. We don't like the process. I've lost 30 kilos in the last 6 years, 20 kilos in the last year. Wow. People want to know about how to do that tomorrow. And then when I was in South America recently, and sorry for the joke, but I was in South America and someone says, hey, you have lost an amazing amount of weight. I saw you in 2008. Yes, yeah, 30 kilos. And he said, well, how have you done it? I said, well, it's because of the power of prayer and our Lord Jesus. And he stares at me and he says, are you serious? And I'm like, of course I'm not serious. I was dieting and exercising. There's no magic. Diet, exercise, diet. We don't like that story. We like the story where you take a pill and you get thinner. We like that story where you listen to some tapes while you're sleeping and you get thinner. Okay? We like that story where you get hypnotized and you quit smoking. I quit smoking 9 years ago. One of the hardest things I've ever done. How do you did it? Oh, it's because of the power of prayer and our Lord Jesus. Okay, so anyway, underdiagnosed. That's another problem we have. So there's a journey. There's several people that are arriving to the same conclusion that there's a journey that you have to follow. I will really encourage you to read this article on Martin Fowler's website by James Shore and Diane Larsen. They talk about something they call the Agile Fluency model. Fluency, like when you are fluent in a language, in a foreign language. Okay, they say fluency is when you get awakened by police at 4 a.m. in the morning and you are able to say, hey, what's happening? And then you can, try to figure out what's happening and try to talk to these people and figure out how to calm everyone around. And they say at the beginning you are not fluent. You can say, me go party. I want beer. That's my level of Japanese. Sumimasen. Ippon, biru ippon. Onegaishimasu. Ite kudasai. I know how to ask for 1 beer in Japanese, so I'm not fluent in Japanese, but I'm kind of fluent in English. I can make myself understood. And they say agility is the same way. We want to read the system optimization thing. And in order to be able to do that, there's several stages that you have to traverse and you have to go through. There's no way to skip stages. Okay, that would be nice. And if we ever find the way to skip stages, we will tell you. Okay, if I ever find how to lose 30 kilos and run a half marathon in less than a year, I will try to tell you. But right now, the best possible way is dieting and exercising, and it takes some time. And we believe that the Agile transformation, the Lean transformation, the Management 3.0 transformation on your companies is going to take time, but there's a process. And we need to talk more and speak more about the process. So, what I found is that you cannot treat your transformation according to what you know or what you've seen in the top of the mountain. I've seen several mountains, low mountains, high mountains all around the world. And I've seen pretty mature teams behaving. I cannot go to a team that is very immature as a team and do the same things that I have seen in the top of the mountain in the top-notch agile teams in the world. I have to adjust my coaching style to wherever that team is right now. And the most I can do is take one step further, but not two, because then they cannot follow you. When I started running with my wife, and I swear to God that when we started running August 2013, we started running like this. Okay, honey, let's go. This was our pace. You know how long could I run like that? 2 minutes. 2 minutes and I would be... I cannot run that. If I start running with someone, I will do the same thing. I will say, okay, let's go. You have to go slower than walking. That's the way you start running. No, you want to fly, of course. You want top of the mountain. No, you have to go slower than walking. People will look at us in the street saying, what is this person doing? They say, shut up, it's something of my own. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. You start doing small increments. And it took me a year to start really ramping up. It started to happen in September. For a year I didn't see real, one day you realize that you can run 15 minutes and without stop. And then one day you make that 20 minutes, and then one day you make it 30 minutes, and it's go up, very slow, and then in some given point of time, whoosh, it goes upwards, and it's amazing. So it's the same thing. You have to adjust your coaching style, your transformation game, how you are going to make change happen to the maturity you see on your teams. So tip number 1, assess the culture. Culture is everything, okay? But the problem is changing a culture, it takes a lot of time. So you cannot go to a, I don't know, government environment, ministry with a lot of bureaucracy and start talking about, hey, let's get rid of documents, let's get rid of process, let's get rid of managers, because that's not the culture. You have to understand what's that culture about and make your message resonate with internal culture. Find something in the culture that you can use on your own. In order to do that, you have to understand that culture is usually about 3 core things. I mean, for me, the most interesting sources of information about how corporate culture works. One is Edgar Schein. He's reading a lot about culture, and from a very psychological, philosophical way. It's like technical stuff. Then you have a nicer read, easier read, which is a book that is called Tribal Leadership. And I do like a lot Tribal Leadership because I think it achieves to explain how a culture is changed to make it more agile, collaborative, team-driven. So the first thing that describes a culture is a common vision, a common purpose. This is the one thing we care about here. Okay, it might be, for instance, it might be finding jobs for people because we are Monster.com or InfoJobs. It might be making information accessible to everyone because that's Google. So we can talk about the vision of the company, but it's also about the purpose of we as a group. What are we trying to achieve here? Sometimes the purpose is to create, this is a very difficult city and most companies will try to crush you and get a lot of money out of you and then they will drop you out. We want to create a company that's different. We want to care about each other's. We want to create a place where people feel safe. That could be a common purpose. It has nothing to do with the product or the service. Maybe the common appealing purpose is something besides the company, besides the product. And you can use that. Say, okay, people here care about creating a safe environment. Well, this is something I can use. Like, it's going to be safer if we deliver. It's going to be safer if stakeholders are happy. It's going to be safer if we got more clients. So maybe I can, tie the culture to my need to change that organization. Purpose and vision and and a shared vision is the first thing that defines a culture. The second thing that define a culture is values. But not values, these golden plaques that people put at the entrance of the company saying vision, mission, values. No? Our values are honesty, and you're like, yeah, see, I've seen you being honest. And you're like, okay, this is marketing bullshit to sell to our customers. These are the kind of things we put on our website. When I talk about values, I talk about this line in the sand that we draw saying nobody crosses that line here. You cross that line, I'm over, I'm out, I quit. That's values. Values is what we value. Value is what we are defending, no matter what. Okay? So sometimes people value respect. Sometimes people value learning. It's like, I'm not learning anymore in this company, I quit. Okay, that's a value. People here care about learning. If you find that, you know, respect or maybe learning is an important value for the culture you are immersed in, use that. Say, hey, if we do this Agile thing, you're going to learn so many cool stuff. And you know what? You go to monster.com, you go to the major job posting agencies, you put Agile, and there's a lot of open opportunities to people knowing Agile. Do you know Agile? No, you don't? Oh, you're lagging behind the market. So now people start to really, really care about that, because for them, learning is a key value. And then you can tie your transformation to something that matters to them, not to your culture. So assess the culture. Try to find something. Sometimes the culture is just rotten. And it's like, there's nothing I can use. Then you quit and find a better place to fight. Okay, maybe that battle is lost. Okay, you cannot win every battle. It's about winning the war. Okay, so you have to choose your battles. And sometimes it's like, no, sorry, I cannot help you. Okay, it had happened to me. It was something that was like beyond my capacity. And it's better that you say, no, sorry, I don't feel like I can provide any kind of value. But usually, it's easy to find a purpose, it's easy to find a value. And then the third thing that defines a culture is artifacts. Artifacts can be behavioral artifacts, like how people behave, or they can be physical artifacts. We have a very, very good example today. I was going to Andrea's offices, and I saw that in the kitchen, there were 2 eyes drawn in the wall. Which is like, if someone is seeing you, if you drop your dish and you don't clean your dish and you put it on some place, you might not be aware of that, but we are seeing you. So that's a physical artifact that is making people behave differently. A scrum board is a physical artifact that makes people behave differently. A feedback door saying, I need some feedback from the talk. When I put there, I say, I would like you to leave some feedback after the talk of what you like, of what you didn't like, what would you add to the talk, what did you miss. Then I'm some kind of interfering with your behavior, because now you probably go like, oh, I'm going to be asking for some feedback, so I have to pay attention. And maybe I have to say, oh, this is important, so also you will remember that later. So physical artifacts are powerful. Be careful, because you know there's a lot of people that saw that Google had a Guitar Hero room, so say, let's put a Guitar Hero room in our office, so we will be like Google. Now it doesn't work that way, okay? But physical artifacts are important. And then you have behavioral artifacts. I had the same problem in a company I was coaching. I was seeing that people will get a cup, pour some coffee, have some coffee, and then leave the cup, and they never wash the cup. So I decided to start washing the cups. I was the most expensive consultant in the company, and I was like washing the cups, and I say, oh, now I'm the most expensive cleaning lady in the world. Okay? You're paying me for washing your cups. And I'm doing it like, you know, I prefer to do this than to fight someone and try to change his mind about the Agile transformation. So I prefer to spend my time here washing cups. It lasted for a couple of weeks. Then no more, you know, dirty cups ever. Because people were like ashamed seeing that someone that they perceived like someone up of the level. If you see someone that you respect, if you see someone that you see in a point of leadership, and you see that person doing something, that behavior changes things. So, if you find people that have leadership in your company, not necessarily managers, there's always a technical leader. There's always sometimes an architect, sometimes. When they say, how do we do that? Everyone will look at someone, spot that person, and try to make that person start writing tests and automating tests, because if he's the technical leader and he starts doing that, that's going to help your transformation. Because that's a cultural behavior. People mimic what the cultural leaders do. And also try to find artifacts that will influence the culture. Okay? I'm running out of time, right? Yeah. This is taking way longer than I expected. Sorry. So, assess also, if you read Tribal Leadership, they talk about 5 levels of culture. Okay? Level 1, we're going to skip that because it's like people that will suicide or do drugs or you know, appear one day with an AK-47 and kill everyone. Okay, so that's a very, very extreme case, but cultural level number 2, that's very usual. That's people that say, my life sucks, okay? Which is good because they acknowledge that some other people's lives do not suck, okay? Level 1 is life sucks, life, everything, okay? Then that's worthless. But then you have people that say, my life sucks. They acknowledge that some other person, probably their boss, have a life that do not suck. Well, that's a point, but the problem with level 2 people is that they are like individualistic. They just don't care because it's like, oh, I have no power. I cannot do anything. Yeah, I like this agile thing, but this. Why do you tell this to us? Go talk to the managers. They are the ones that need to change. This is cultural level 2. I'm powerless. My life sucks. Then you have cultural level 3. Cultural level 3 is, I'm the best, and you're not. Okay? This is usually managers. Managers are like, I've been promoted because I was the best in my team. And now I'm the boss because I'm the best. I'm smarter than you guys. And that's the reason I'm the boss. The problem with that is that you can be a very successful novelist, actor, musician if you are a level 3 professional. I'm the best author. I'm the best musician. I'm the best novelist, whatever, or actor. But if you want to create teams and you are level 3, I'm better than you guys, then your behavior is not enforcing that people behave as self-organizing, mature, productive teams. So that's a problem. Level 4 is, we are the best, and they are not. Okay, level 4 culture is a team culture, it's an agile culture. And usually, one of the things you can identify is a common enemy. Like if you are Apple and say, we are the best, and Microsoft is not. Or if you're Linux and you are like, we are the best, and Microsoft is not. Or if you're Google and you are like, we are the best, and Microsoft is not. Microsoft is like the bad guy for everyone in the software industry. So it's nice to have like a common enemy and to move people towards, instead of looking to each other, no, you do this, no, you do that. You are like, oh, look at that team in the other corner of the building. They are doing way better than us. Suckers? We are going to demonstrate to them that we are better than them. Okay, so some kind of healthy internal competition is something that you can use also to trigger your internal transformation. But you have to assess where are you. Okay, please keep that in mind. Number 2, this is management 3.0. You need boundaries and constraints. If you have a football team, they cannot say, you know, if you have a football team, it's football, and it's on Sunday, and it's 6 o'clock, and it's in Madrid, and we are playing against Real Madrid. They cannot say, no, we prefer to do hockey, ice hockey in Canada on Monday. No, you don't decide that. Oh, they're not agile. You're breaking the self-organization. Usually when people say, no, that's not agile because I want to do something which is against the company boundaries, constraints, ambition, and proposal, that's a low maturity level. You have to be aware of that. You have to adjust. A low maturity team needs a lot of constraints. And then later on you will start to lose that constraints, but at the beginning you need some deadlines, for instance, or you need some budget allocation, and you need some requirements. This is the product I want. People are so excited now because they see that Spotify squads, the teams at Spotify, they decide what features do they want to put into the product. We want to do the same. Well, top of the mountain. You have people with a vision of the product that is shared by everyone, distributed intelligence. Then you want to do that on Monday morning. No. If you have an immature team, you tell them what the product is. Oh, that's not agile. Well, that's the beginning. And then we will evolve over the future. You need to understand that your role is to start to doing progressive delegation, but one step at a time. Okay? So, self-organization needs a self, and that self, many times, it's provided by some alignment and some boundaries and some constraints. Myself is this thing that is constrained in this skin, and in this head, and in this body. This is me. Okay, so you have to constrain the people and say, this is your playground. This is where you play the game. For instance, this is self-organization. Nobody told this guy in the building in the corner here how the building needs to be, I mean the color of the building, or the size of the flats, or how many stores high. But this is self-organization. This is Barcelona, by the way, and this is self-organization. There's some kind of difference, okay, between this and this. Something happened. This is self-organization too. But here some person decided to build a house on top of another house, and nobody cared. Here probably you can guess that there are some boundaries and some constraints about what you can do and you cannot do. Okay? So there are different levels of self-organization depending on how many constraints you put on that. We tend to believe that self-organizing, self-management teams with no managers and no boundaries and no constraints are the best teams. Well, I'll let you decide, okay? Sometimes you are just not ready for emerging architecture. When we talk about getting rid of the architects, that's a process. At the beginning, if you get rid of the architect, probably you will break something down. But then some people on top of the mountain, they say, no, like me, no architects, emergent architecture. You try that on a Monday morning, and then you tell me what's going to happen, because you didn't assess the maturity of the team. So again, number 3, assess your team maturity. There are several frameworks you can use. For instance, I'm very, very keen on Tuckman's model. This was enunciated in 1965 or something like that. Tuckman said, you have a first stage where you get some people together and you put them together and you say, well, you're a team, but you still have a team. Everyone is like looking in different directions, working on their own. And this is the forming stage. Here, you don't have proper collaboration. What you have is coordination. You have someone telling people what to do all the time. So they are coordinated, but that's not collaboration yet. So then they start cooperating. Cooperating means that before I was telling you work on that, you are coordinated. Now you both work on something, so you need to cooperate on the same thing. And then we start having conflicts. Because you want to do it in Java, and I want to do it in .NET. And you don't want documentation, and I feel that documentation is so important. And you want to do Agile, and I'm not keen on Lean. And you say, let's do Scrum, and I say, no, let's do Kanban. So we have conflicts, and usually, if we don't help the teams navigate that conflict through facilitation, they will revert to the stage number 1. Okay, you do whatever you want, I will do whatever I want. Ah, there's no conflict anymore. But that's artificial harmony. You didn't solve anything. And nobody taught us how to navigate that conflict in a positive, constructive way. Usually, I believe that people can learn on their own how to navigate conflict and how to collaborate. But even though that's possible, it's very, very, very difficult. Especially we have not been trained to do that. So that's the reason we believe that facilitation is not maybe needed, but it's really, really hard. It's strongly recommended in order to navigate these stages towards a team that is really collaborating. Now we take decisions together. Now we have some norms and some boundaries and some rules that maybe we establish together. We don't know how to do that. We've never been taught how to do that. So that's the reason I do recommend having facilitation in any transformation. And that's the stage to high-performance teams. You have to navigate through these stages. That's also the reason that teams need to be stable for some time, because they need time to gellify and start finding ways to work together. If you are changing people all the time, like taking people out of the team and putting them on some projects, if you are using a pool of resources, a resource pool, a software factory, this is like major red alarms. If you're trying to do Agile, Lean, Management 3.0, or if you are trying to have self-organizing, high-performing teams. I also recommend that you look at a presentation by Bob Gallen. Bob Gallen has a presentation that is called Maturity Patterns on Agile Teams, or Agile Teams Maturity Patterns, or Agile Patterns in Maturity Teams and Mature Teams, something like that. Maturity Teams, Agile, Bob Gallen in Google. It's a good show, okay? Especially if you search in SlideShare, you can see the slides. And he has identified like 20-something patterns of very mature teams. Like very mature teams write tests and automate tests. Very mature teams have continuous integration services. Very mature teams care about the state of the build. They have some technical skills that they look for to see if the team is really, really mature or not. That's also a guide of things you can introduce to your teams. If you find that some of these patterns are lacking, you don't see them, you can introduce them one after, one step at a time. There's also patterns around team dynamics. Team discusses approaches, team discusses architecture. One of the things I usually like to see in the team is when they switch the conversations, and instead of being technical conversations about physical layer and protocols and APIs, instead of that, they switch the conversations and they start talking about the domain. They start talking about the customer and the invoice and the product and the stock and the validation and the truck that is traveling from one warehouse to another. When people start talking about these kind of things, then they are not care. If they only talk about implementation, they don't care about the people using the software. They just care about getting the backlog done. I have to do this. Okay, what's the best way to do this? And I don't care if it works or not. I just execute the backlog. That's low maturity. So there's several patterns on team dynamics, not only on conversations on how they deal with the product and with the company, also about how they deal with conflict, also about how they respect to each other, also about how they communicate. I've seen teams that are very, very respectful. But in Spain, for instance, it's cultural that we yell to each other and we shout to each other and we insult each other. Oh, that's because you're a fucking retarded. And then you will say, excuse me, I will stop a conversation and say, that's not a way to speak to each other as colleagues and team members. And the people will be very surprised and say, oh no, this is the way we talk to each other. This is how we are. Okay, that's a self-imposed label. And this kind of team dynamics are not going to help the team gellify and take decisions together. So maybe you have to start teaching these people respect and non-violent communication and how to reach consensus and how to deal with conflicts. Maybe even before we decide if we're going to use Hudson and Maven or TM Foundation server as a continuous integration environment, because we cannot reach an agreement because we don't know how to discuss and agree on something. So maybe the first thing you need is to teach them how to agree on something. Sometimes there's personal issues. There's one person in the team. That's a problem. And the team does not know how to deal with this one person on the team that is dragging the team behind. So if you say, no, I've read literature and I see that Agile teams, they figure this out on their own. If they have someone that is underperforming, they will figure out. Now, that's not likely to happen. If they haven't learned how to do that, you have an immature team. Immature teams are not about having immature team members. They are all very, very responsible individuals, adult beings that have been doing very, very difficult careers, and they have mortgages, and they are married, and they have kids. But when it comes to teamwork, probably they haven't seen teamwork ever happening. So they don't know how to do that. That's what I call an immature team. They don't have examples on how to be, positive and productive on teamwork. And one of the things that a team needs to learn is if you have one person that is repeatedly affected the team performance and the team dynamics, the team should confront that person and say, you know what, when you do this thing, then it happens that this and this and this, and this makes us frustrated as a team. And then they also need to understand that when we receive feedback from the team members, it's not something personal, and it's not about trying to hurt you or trying to blame you. It's about trying to find better ways to work together and be happier. That's not going to work that's not going to happen on a Monday morning, 8 a.m. Okay, now you be mature beings and then you talk to each other. We don't know how to do that. So, number 4 is progressive delegation. Okay, number 4 is you don't start by saying, okay, you decide everything. If you've been around the Management 3.0 community long enough, you probably face these delegation boards where you have several levels of delegation, which is like tell, there's no explanation. I feel that there's no reason to use tell ever in no kind of industry, but that's my personal opinion. If you say, we are moving to China, you have to explain why. That's the one thing you owe to your people. We are moving to China, and I don't explain why. No, that shouldn't happen. At least I take the decision to move to China, but I'm going to sell that decision to you. We're moving to China because this and this and this and this. Maybe you buy it, maybe you don't, but I try to explain how this decision has been made. So you say, oh, so they decided this because of this and this and this. So you start learning about the decision process. And then you have consult. This is very dangerous, okay? Because you ask people, should we move to China? No. Oh yeah, okay. Well, anyway, we're moving to China. Should we do Agile? No. Well, anyway, we're doing Agile. And then it reaches the point where you say, well, why do you ask us if you are always taking the decision on your own? So you have to be clear that the decision is yours, and you are taking several options. And even if I don't agree with your opinion, I will value your opinion and I will take it into account. Then we have agree. We take a decision together. We have advice. I will give you some advice, but you take the decision. Again, careful. And then you have inquire. Okay, you take the decision and just tell me about the decision. I won't say anything. And full delegation. I don't care. I have been working with companies in Spain that we have won the best place to work 3 years in a row. I'm so proud of them. And one of the things we do in this company, we don't track holiday days. We were inspired by Netflix and say, okay, let's stop tracking the holiday days. Still, some people will come on a Thursday and say, sorry, can I talk to you? And it's, yeah. I wanted to tell you, I won't be coming tomorrow early because I have to go to the dentist. And I was like, I don't fucking care. Why are you wasting my time telling me about you have to go to the dentist? Why is that my problem? Why am I using my ears and my time for this? And people are like, no, so you know, if you look and you don't see me, so you know that I'm in the dentist. I don't care. And people have it takes a lot of time to give this message that I don't care if you can. If I start caring about what hour are you entering, what hour are you leaving, start worrying, because it's that I don't trust you anymore. I don't see results, I don't see performance, and I say, oh. When I start seeing, oh, look at the hour we come in the morning, that's major red warning in an agile, lean management environment. So progressive delegation is key to to coach the teams in a good way. Immature teams, there's I will sell you the decisions, and progressively I will start giving you a little bit of authority. I'm over time, but I still want to tell this story. It's going to be like a couple of minutes. I told it last year in Untitled London, but I love this story. It's about my kid. Okay, when my kid was 4-year-old, I was, I will grab his hand and we'll go to the bus stop, which was like 3 or 4 streets across, 3 or 4 streets far from my home, and we had to go around the block. So every single day when I was at Seville, which is my hometown, I was like, with my kid, and when I was showing him the way to the bus station, and then one day I say, okay, kid, I'm not gonna hold your hand anymore, but you have to walk behind me. You don't go after me, before me. Okay, so you have to walk behind me. And I was walking, and I was seeing that he wouldn't run or escape or go through the streets. I would see that he was behaving good. So one day I say, you know what? You go, I will go behind you, and you will show me the way. And I will look that he knew how to reach the bus station, and that when we crossed the street, he was like stopping and looking for the cars and then trying to cross. Many times he forgot, he was talking, and I would say, Angel, and I grab him. Oh, what? You didn't look for the cars? Oh, sorry, Dad, I forgot. You cannot forget. This is so important. So I repeat that routine several times until I saw that it was automatic, that he will stop and look for the cars and everything, and he will know the car. And then when we went back from the school bus, he knew how to came back and cross the streets and everything. And then when in his 5th birthday, I say, well, Angel, now you are, now you're an adult. You're a 5-year-old. You're a grown-up person. You're an adult. You are a responsible person. Far more responsible than many software developers that I find in my work. So now it's up to you to go to the bus station. There's a candy store behind the bus station. Here you have a coin, €1. So you go to the store, you buy a chocolate, and you come back. On my own? Yeah, you go on your own. You're grown up now. So here am I with my wife looking at the door, how my kid crosses one street, then crosses the second street, then goes around the block. You can't see him anymore. That's the most terrifying moment in your life. Okay, you start thinking about any possible thing that can go wrong, including intelligent velociraptors breaking their cages, and terrorist attacks, and massive hijacking of people, and I don't know. And you are like, okay, it's been 30 seconds. That's plenty of time. She should be back by now. 30 seconds is time enough to go around the block and cross the other street and buy some chocolate. Oh my God, he's not returning. I'm going to find. And you try to, refrain yourself. And then 5 minutes later or 3 minutes later, he comes by the block and he has a Kinder chocolate. And he looks like he killed a bear with his bare hands. Daddy, oh my God! And that's the moment where you realize you're doing a good job. So when I talk about progressive delegation, people see, oh, you are letting your kid going along to the street, oh, you're crazy. They don't see the process. They don't see all the months I've been spending repeating the same routine, explaining to him how to do the routine, explaining to him the perils and the things he have to show, have to look for. And the many times he has performed that routine under my scrutiny, until I say, okay, I fully trust you to do this, and still you have always the possibility of something going wrong. But that can also happen when I'm holding his hand. I can look down at a place. Yesterday this morning I nearly died here in London because your freaking buses make no noise. Can you put some wiggity or something to your buses? Come on, I was, so a lot of people coming, and I was going to step down the curb. And then whoosh, bus is like, I think that this part of my bird is slightly lower than this one. And I was like, oh my God, this is the closest I've been to dying in the last year. So even if you are a responsible adult and the CEO, you can fuck up. You can screw it. Okay? So anyway, that's what I talk about delegation. So progressive facilitation, and that's the end of the talk. Last year I talked about this model, Scrum Mastership, where you have the Scrum dude, okay? Scrum dude is the guy that says, let's do daily Scrum, let's do retrospective, that's it. He will keep a list of impediments, that's it. And if you have this kind of behavior, nothing's going to happen because you just do cosmetic Scrum, you're faking Scrum. So it's a good news when you start having Scrum moms, okay? Scrum mom will take the team and treat them like her kids, okay? And then I will protect the teams, I will get rid of the impediments. And I will also tell the teams, you have to do the homework, you have to do test automation, you have to refactor the code, you have to do Scrum. Okay, and maybe the teams doesn't like that, but then they like that Scrum Mom is protecting them from managers and clients and corporate impediments. So you have a relationship where people start being like comfortable. The team is comfortable because Scrum Mom is protecting them and doing some work for them. No, I will do the documentation for you, so you don't have to spend time on that. No, I will take care of the process. No, I will fill the reports. And the team is like, oh, cool. Now we have a Scrum Mom. She's doing the whole reports, and now we don't have to do reports anymore. And the only price we have to pay is sometimes the Scrum Mom says, oh, do your Agile things. And we're like, okay, we will do some Agile stuff. It's a good relationship. And then as a Scrum Master, you're like, now I feel like providing some real value to the team because I'm removing impediments and I'm doing work for them. But of course, if you keep, showing you keep the way, but you never actually release him, he doesn't ever become a grown adult. So you need to become a true Scrum Master and stop moderating and showing the team how to do things and doing things for them. And then you have to demand that they start taking responsibility for the things. The problem is that if you try to behave as, we are already in Agile Nirvana, and we have the Agile Sensei, which is someone that just operates as a fly in the wall and just watch the process. This fly on the wall thing, you will find it in literature. Some people say Scrum Master is a fly on the wall. It's just there. I've seen some strange things happen with some people going into a room and then changing all the dynamics and people behaving differently, and I'm like, what did you do? And I say, nothing, I just hear and I'm just observing. So it comes, that's top of the mountain. You try that with an immature team, you tell me what's going to happen. It's not going to work. You're going to say, hello team, how are you feeling today? Oh, bad, we hate this Agile thing, we decided we are not doing any more Agile thing. And you're like, oh, do you feel this is an emotional thing or is fact-based? I say, oh, it's a fact. Agile sucks. And you're like, no, this is not, no, but do you feel, is that a real fact or is that more your emotion and your fear? No, it's a fact. And you're like, oh my God, the coaching is not working. Why? Because they don't want to be coached. There's only one situation where you can actually coach people, and we have some people that have identified themselves as coach, so I probably respect their opinion above mine. But I've seen that most, if not all coaching schools says, coaching do not work if the coachee does not want to be coached. You cannot force coaching into people. I go into some customers and we have one person that is creating a lot of trouble, and they say, can you coach him? And I'm like, no, it's not, it's not magic mumbo jumbo that I will do hula 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 hula, and then he will become a better person. It doesn't work that way. So you cannot use a coaching framework with people that are still on a Scrum Dude stage, low maturity stage, okay? So I'm going to finish here, just presenting what I'm working at right now, which is an integrated model, which has Management 3.0, Agile Fluency model, Tribal Leadership Culture, Scrum Man Maturity model, which is my own contribution to all this. And I feel that everything makes sense. I mean, in Management 3.0, we start talking about selling and consulting, and then later on we talk about agreeing with the team, and then later on we talk about advise, inquire, and delegate, and then we reach Nirvana. And then when I was talking about the Scrum Mom, I was talking about the Scrum Dude, and the Scrum Mom, and the True Scrum Master, and the Agile Nirvana. And then the people in the Agile Fluency model, they talk about getting the skills, and then reorganizing the teams, and then creating an organizational shift, and then creating a cultural value-driven shift and reaching the lean Agile Nirvana. And when you read Tribal Leadership, they start talking about level 1 and level 2 individuals, maybe with level 3 bosses. Then they talk about raising everyone to level 3. Everyone feels confident enough and good professionals, and I can take decisions on my own. And then you move them to level 4, which is we are the best, and they talk about the level 5, which is like life is fantastic, which is like the opportunity to thrive, which is like the Agile Nirvana. Okay, so I think that there's an integrated message here, that we have been describing this Agile Nirvana with a lot of detail, but we haven't told people how to walk this journey. And I think that we should start talking more about change management and about how you don't start here with the goal in mind. You start doing, Alan Simon talks about something that he calls pain-driven facilitation, an organic Scrum. He says, I don't impose a framework on the team. I only impose two things, which is professional facilitation and retrospectives. And then a professional facilitator, which is someone that has seen the top of the mountain, will conduct retrospectives, frequent retrospectives, maybe once a week. And we'll ask the team, what's your pain? What's your most important pain point? And maybe people will say, oh, you know, what our most important pain point is we have 5 people telling us what to do. And sometimes this is like it gets into contradiction and everyone wants to be the first. And we have several, and you say, oh, that sounds like a problem. Or maybe we can have one only person to be the only entrance to the team, and that person can care about getting some kind of agreement between all the clients on what's the priorities and what's the thing. And say, oh, and maybe we can try that for a month and see how it goes, so we don't make it permanent. And then we try that and we say, oh, it's a good idea. So now you have one agile pattern, which is product ownership. And then you iterate, iterate, iterate. So you start with very, very little. Not trying to impose top of the mountain. Not trying to impose what other people have reached after 10 years of work. Instead of that, keep the top of the mountain in mind, but go down the mountain, find your team at the beginning of the mountain, and make them take the first step to base camp number 1. That is our role. Okay? So, I like to always to finish my talks with some inspiring quote, and I found this one. It's not mine, but I like it. Unicorns are very difficult to find. These self-organizing, very, very mature, hyper-productive teams are so difficult to find that it's no marvel that some of you don't believe in unicorns. But it doesn't matter if you don't believe in unicorns, because unicorns do believe in you. So thank you so much. That was like